まさか本当にやりやがった藤虎。
まるで仇を取ってくれたみたい。
同じ地位を得てもこんな真似俺にはできねえな。胸が空いたよ。
マフィンありますよ。コーヒー入れます？
腹じゃねえよバカ。
え？
How's it going, everybody? We've got some Smoker gameplay today against good old Garp. Ended up playing a scrimmage match against a friend. I wanted to see what Smoker looked like in OP09. I actually haven't touched Smoker since OP08.5 after he got the starter deck upgrades. So trying out a list for OP09 might end up changing up this list, but wanted to play against a Navy-focused build of Garp. My friend's trying out Garp just because of all the new hype around Kobe coming out in OP11. So Garp getting a little bit of a resurgence here. We'll see if Garp ends up, being more popular in the meta in the next coming sets. But it's a pretty cool deck, has some pretty cool play lines that are a little different than some of the other Navy builds. But we're going to start off with a brand new. We ended up losing the die roll, getting forced to go first, and good old Garp going second. Playing probably one of their most famous plays here, which is good old 2-cost Garp. 2-cost Garp is an absolute house in this list. You attach Dawn with leader effect, and then trigger a leader's effect to give -1 cost for each Dawn attached, and then that 2-cost Garp with 2 Dawn attached, it swings for 5k, and then KOs is 0 cost or less. So just being able to clean up that brand new immediately, which if he didn't do that brand new would end up becoming a threat to Garp here. So that Garp's going to be a little sticky. I do have a way to get rid of it here. I could play out the Tashigi here. Or, likely that Sabo's going to stay in hand, but I kind of want to kill this Garp here. Another play would be potentially play out T-Bone. T-Bone just cleans up a 2-cost, but that is a 2k in hand for later on. My hand is looking pretty nice, though, as Tashigi is honestly pretty great into this matchup here. We're going to go ahead and swing 5k here, and I think we're just going to tap 5 for Tashigi. Just play that out here. Tashigi on play, going to -4, use it because I'm a Smoker, and then we'll use Tashigi to trash a Garp here. Getting rid of that early is going to be pretty great as we go into the later game here, as Garp is just going to continue to be pretty annoying. Just being able to kind of go really aggressive by attaching Dawn and also minusing cost is pretty darn good. And we're going to see one of the best cards that Garp got, that the Smoker deck provided, which is the good old Sengoku. Going to trash 2 uncounterable or non-counter cards to draw 3 cards. I would love to see one of those as well. But my hand's coming together pretty well. Got Rebecca, got a Sabo. A few 2Ks, Tashigi, Moria, and my opponent's going to play out a good old Kuzan, going to pass back to me. That Kuzan is a ripe target for Tashigi here, but likely just going to pop off the second Tashigi. We do have a Kobe instead if I wanted to do like a -1 Rebecca into Kobe, get the 2k back. That's also a potential play that I could do here, but Tashigi is just a force to be reckoned with. 1 Dawn attached just makes her an easy 7k. So just a really good body to swing with. We're going to just go ahead and start doing that. We're going to send 7k at lead here. Opponent's just going to snap take that here, and then we're going to play out another Tashigi. We're going to layer the effects a little bit. We're going to -4 with Tashigi, then -1 with Smoker to allow Smoker's ability to proc. We're going to swing 7k at lead, and then use Tashigi to clean up the good old Kuzan. Opponent's down to 2. I'm sitting on a clean 4 right now, and things are looking pretty darn good for me at this point. Feeling pretty nice. It was nice to get out here and just kind of play like a little match on camera. I haven't had a chance to play in locals in the last week. Been sick. My kid is in preschool, and he picked up something from some other kid, and then it ended up passing to the entire family. So everybody got sick, and I got it last. My immune system was strong, but not strong enough, and I ended up getting decently sick. You can probably still hear it in my voice now. And then that kind of all cleared over. I'm feeling a bit better now, just trying to get it out of the system. And now my same son has a stomach virus, so hopefully I don't catch that one. I gotta really be careful, because that's not gonna be fun if that happens. Whole lot of fun with little kids, man. If you know, you know. All right, opponent's gonna plays out a Gecko Moria into a Borsalino into a Brook. Brook's gonna attach 2. He's just gonna -2 to the Tashigi and then swing a nice little 7k lead. I'm just gonna go ahead and take that here. If he sent it at Tashigi, I would have just countered out of it with 2k from hand. But we're gonna go back to my turn here. First Gecko Moria, the match is out. I also have one in hand, but we'll see here. This might end up being a battle of Gecko Morias. I've only seen one so far. We don't know how many my opponent has potentially seen. My opponent has a bit of a grip right now, about 6-7 cards in hand, but he has been eagerly taking hits here. So maybe that's a little bit of an indication of maybe the low counter power in his hand here, and I might try to take advantage of that. Smoker while it is ultimately, you know, a control deck, it also can be pretty darn aggressive, right? Using Smoker's leader ability just to incidentally swing 7Ks with 1 Dawn is pretty darn good. And then these Tashigis, 1 Dawn attached to swinging 7Ks, is just like really brutal to your opponent's hand. Would have loved to have another Tashigi here to clear up the Borsalino, but I decided to use a Tashigi last turn. Maybe it would have been better to Rebecca into Kobe last turn. But anyways, we're gonna go and swing 7K here. Opponent could block and give me a 2K with the Borsalino, but likely could also just give me cards out of hand here. Opponent's gonna give me a 2K, 1K out of hand here, not committing a Borsalino block just yet. We're gonna go ahead and swing a 7K again here. Opponent's just going to take that one, going down to 1 life already. I'm honestly happy to see that. I kind of take advantage of the moment here. We're going to go ahead and swing, we're going to swing 8K here, minusing 1 on the Sengoku. Opponent, if he had a 2K, 1K could have blocked with Borsalino, but because I swung so high over Borsalino, we end up getting the Borsalino out of here. We end up cycling into, playing a Sabo, cycling into an Ice Age and a Moria here, but my hand is so nice here. I should honestly be throwing the Kobe in the yard right now, but I end up going for the brand new and the Gecko Moria, which if I end up throwing that away, it might have been a bit of a mistake. I think keeping the Moria in hand was probably the play here. At the time, my thought process was my opponent's already established a Moria. I only have one. Like, he could potentially establish another one because, you know, he's not countering out of things, which means he likely has, you know, non-counter cards in hand, which are likely Gecko Morias and more removal effects. So having counter in hand, I felt like it was maybe was the play, but should have definitely kept that other Moria. I think that Kobe being a prime target off of Rebecca, could have also just discarded the Rebecca. I don't know if I have a Rebecca in the yard already, but I think my goal is to try to get the Rebecca there. But could have definitely used the Sabo to throw the Rebecca in the yard, and then had a nice little Moria into Moria play here. Opponent's gonna go a 9K. I think he's sending it at Tashigi here. This is where I'm like, okay, I need to get these cards in the yard if I'm gonna go Moria here. Which, in hindsight, if I had already had them in the yard, maybe this turn would have gone differently. We're gonna counter out of that 9K swing into Tashigi, not committing the Sabo, not letting it go, because Tashigi's gonna keep pressuring. Opponents already showed me that they don't have a whole lot of counter power in hand right now, just kind of taking hits from 7Ks. So I want to keep trying to swing as many 7Ks as possible here into my opponent. Opponent now has a bit, 10 Dawn. Has a bit to do here. Just end up playing another Gecko Moria, and this right here is where I made I'm like feeling the mistake I made. So throwing away that second Gecko Moria, I'm definitely feeling it now as my opponent shows me a second one here. Gonna go Rebecca into Garp, and then Rebecca's gonna grab a T-Bone. So now opponent has a 2K in hand here. Maybe a little bit of more counter power, but opponent has 2 Gecko Morias. I haven't even played my first, and I know I just pitched my second, which, if you know, black decks, especially navy focused decks, don't really have a way to get Gecko Moria back out of the yard. Rebecca can't target it. Typically, decks like Gecko Moria can use the Hogback to get it back, but opponent's gonna just go ahead and I think he swings another 7K into Tashigi. If I had a 2K in hand, I would definitely potentially would have saved it there, but I did not. My hand is clunking up a little bit here, but we do have a play for this next turn. We can, if my opponent didn't show me a second Gecko Moria, this would have been a pretty amazing turn, right? I'm eyeballing an Ice Age. We could Ice Age into Gecko, into Rebecca, into Kobe, into something else like a brand new, and then pop the one of the Gecko Morias. But this turn looking a little more awkward now that my opponent showed me a second Gecko Moria and a Rebecca on board. Rebecca gonna be a little annoying for me to try to keep pressuring my opponent here. We're gonna go ahead and Ice Age the Gecko Moria. Gonna take it down to a nice little 3 cost. And can you believe that Ice Age card is like $40 now? That's crazy. That was a volume 1 like collector's whatever, like binder, like the first volume or something. I ended up picking those up pretty cheap, but that card is worth too much money now. Likely could be a card on the chopping block. I know the bans are coming up soon. I plan on having a more dedicated video to talk about that here soon. But is Ice Age gonna go? We'll see here. Anyways, Ice Age into Rebecca, into brand new grabs me a 2K, and then Kobe's gonna come out, discard a Sengoku. Normally I'd keep Sengoku in my hand. My hand's getting small, and I don't have a lot of Navy cards in hand here. If those were 2 Navy cards in hand, I would have maybe kept the Sengoku, but we'll see here. Gonna pop the Gecko Moria, then we're gonna go ahead and swing 7K, minusing 1 on their Sengoku again, and opponent is likely either gonna give me some counter out of hand or block with the Rebecca. If they block with the Rebecca, I know there's potentially another Gecko Moria coming, and they do exactly that. I knew they had a 2K in hand. And you know, what's the likelihood of them having a one-hit K here? But because they just let it go so easily, I'm about to walk my way into the third Gecko Moria, which I'm at a bit of a Gecko Moria deficit at this point. Those who play like Black Mirror matches know ultimately the matchup comes down to who sees more Gecko Morias, and right now I am losing the battle of numbers here. And that's another question. Do you think Gecko Moria is potentially going to get banned? I'd say it's a little late at this point. I think the sweet spot to ban Gecko Moria probably would have been around the time Red Purple Law Leader got banned. I think that was like a great opportunity for them to ban that card. We would have seen a lot different of an 08 environment, which would have been even better, right? Seeing Lucci kind of get hurt a bit, handicapped, seeing Black Yellow Luffy out of the format, we could have seen a slightly different meta, but. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a little too late, but I think Gecko Moria still just provides way too much value. Maybe potentially, maybe not going for a ban, but maybe like a pair ban or something like that. I know other Bandai card games let you pair ban, so maybe like preventing you from playing Gecko Moria with Black Yellow Luffy or something, so it still like hurts that deck, or I don't know. It's a touchy subject, but the opponent's just doing some nuts here. Managed the Ice Age. Attaches a bunch of Dawn to reduce Gecko Moria all the way to 0, and then swings with Garp for 5k, KOing my Gecko Moria. And now we're shot for shot on taking each other's Gecko Morias, and that's just a 5k. I ended up just taking that. Could have countered, but I wanted to keep the Rebecca here, and then we're going to 2k out of the 6k swing. And opponent, oh man, my poor board is falling apart here against my opponent here. And I think, remembering what I do here, I think this ends up being the turn decider, and I'm going to be, a spoiler warning, I end up making the wrong decision. So we're going to go play Tashigi here. Tashigi's kind of just like a pretty solid play. Can clear up the, we're going to use Tashigi's effect, give -1 to something else, I see a 0, whatever, +1k on leader, and then we're going to trash the Borsalino. Tashigi being a great top deck in that moment to just take out the Borsalino, but at this point I really need to take my focus towards my opponent's board instead of my life. So my opponent was playing in such a fashion to where I didn't feel like they had a whole lot of counter in hand. My opponent does have quite a few cards in hand, but they're playing in such a weird way this entire game that I was trying to see if I could aggro them out. But I made a mistake here, right? So I should have swung, instead of swinging 8k, I should have swung 6k into the Brook. I should have played a Rebecca from hand, played a Brook out of my hand, and like took out the other, like try to clear some of those lower bodies. I think Garp was definitely the biggest thing I needed to counter out of here. So I ended up just swinging 8k, 9k, and trying to feel comfortable underneath 2 blockers here. But one of the biggest things that you need to keep in mind when playing against Garp is that 2-drop Garp there. That 2-drop Garp is going to just clear one of my blockers, and it's going to put me in a really bad spot here, especially with just only having 2 1Ks in hand. Really should have gone with the other play. So I would have had at least 4 Dawn up. I could have took out the Garp using leader ability, so I could have -1 the Garp, played Rebecca, maybe use 1 Tashigi to clear one thing, and then just replace the Tashigi with the Brook and cleared the other Garp, and then I would have had 2 Rebeccas, a Sabo, a Tashigi, and a Brook on the field. I would have had also a 2k in hand, because I would have used Tashigi's effect or Rebecca's effect to put like a T-bone back in hand. So I would have been probably in a way better spot here, but I ended up not doing that. And you can see here how it's all kind of falling apart here. Opponent's just going to use a bunch of Dawn because of Garp's ability, which is definitely something not to underestimate. He's just going to attach a bunch of Dawn and just start minusing things. He takes that Sabo down to a 0 drop here, and he's going to go ahead and swing a 7k into lead and KO the Sabo on attack. Garp's effect is when attacking, 2 Dawn is charged. KO 0 less. I have to just take that one. I only have 2 1Ks in hand. I pick up a 2k, right? But I think at this point my opponent just kind of has the numbers. This is a 7. I think this is a 7k coming at me here, and oh my goodness, yeah, this is a bad time. So that's 4 on one, 4 on the other, 2 on the Garp here, and 7k with Brook, and I could 2k 1k out of it. But then that still leaves another 7k and 2 9ks. At this point, you can see the writing on the wall. I definitely let this game slip out from under me. I definitely could have at least survived for one more turn and tried to keep pressuring my opponent, but you could tell just the amount of cards in my opponent's hands, and potentially if I did something differently last turn, my opponent could have completely done something different. They had at least 5-6 cards in hand, so I think at this point the game kind of slipped away from me. I could have really used that Gecko Moria earlier in the game to get Rebecca back, and pulling Rebecca out of life and the 9k finishes me off. I only had 2 1ks in hand, and unfortunately there's a battle. I made a mistake there. Definitely undervalued Garp's leader effect. I honestly haven't played against Garp in multiple mini sets, and you might start seeing him more. So I definitely wanted to show this video off to give people a little view into potentially some decks that they're going to see in the future here. But anyways, if you like this type of gameplay, I'm going to be trying to post some more Smoker in the future, and I'll catch you in the next video.